And hello again, and welcome back to Keene No Spin. I am still Randy Filiault,
And I'm Chris Coates.
and we've survived another 2 weeks, and the weather stinks.
Actually, the weather was great yesterday. If it's winter, yeah, I want snow. And you know what?
That's why it wasn't good. It was sleet.
It was sleet afterwards, but it started out snowy.
And that segues right into the first thing that I wanted to talk about, too. How do you like that? It's like, man.
All right.
That's what I'm going to talk. Last 4 years, warmest on a record. You know, climate change. In February, I always remember February as when it snowed, it snowed. Mm-hmm. And now it snows, it sleets. A foot of snow now turns into 3 inches of ice. And what this Friday is going to be in around 50 degrees and rain.
Yeah.
You know?
Get used to rain.
Yeah.
That's the new
I
weather.
don't remember this much rain and sleet in February ever. This is usually the snowy month.
Right. And I'm tired of. I don't even. I turn it now when
I'm always tired
with the national news coming on and saying, you know, this, that, and the other thing about the weather coming in. It's the weather. We're from New England. We expect these things.
Oh,
Get
you
over it.
expect,
you know, this is what we had yesterday.
You expect
is
winter.
Nothing.
No, it's just.
My car drives beautifully in anything, so I have no
I don't.
worries.
Yeah, the same here. But the weather you get yesterday, you know, 3 inches of sleet, doesn't help anybody for anything except you know, maybe, you know, selling snow tires and all-wheel drive cars, you know. But it's just crappy weather. And,
If you look at it, though, I mean, now I'm going off in a whole different direction because you just triggered something for me.
made you think?
It just woke me up a little bit.
Okay.
And if I mean, you're in the car business.
Yep.
And if you look at where the economy is now to where it was prior, what are you seeing? What, you know, are you seeing a drop off? Are you seeing it's holding its own? And it's not a reflection on any one car business. It's just that you're in it, so you would see it.
Yeah. You know, I don't see a lot of difference. You see more all-wheel drives and SUVs, and that's why companies like Ford, like Toyota, like Chrysler, they're virtually eliminating sedans. I mean, Ford will hang on to the Mustang, Toyota will hang on probably to the Camry.
Right.
Chrysler products, they're going to keep a couple of the muscle cars.
Yeah.
But pretty much all the manufacturers are just switching over to SUVs, trucks, and hatchbacks. Anything with a trunk now is just dated. You know, sedans with a trunk.
Yeah.
Anything with a trunk, it's just hard to sell now. You know, and I saw that when I was at Toyota. Now that I'm at Ford, it's the same. Sedan sales are just, you know. So it is definitely a market trend. A lot more people looking for used vehicles now because vehicles are so expensive.
Yeah, well,
leases are way up.
Do you know I've only had one new car in my lifetime? That was the first car I ever bought. Ever since then, it's been new to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I work hard at it. I don't know if others do, but Car Guru and there's others that are out there. And I'll go online and I'll start looking to see if I can find exactly what I'm looking for. And it may take me 2 or 3 months to find it.
Yeah.
But when I do, then I go quick and hard after it, and usually land it. I mean,
we get a lot of leads off Car Guru.
Yeah.
And that's one of the differences now is car dealerships. It's online much more heavily than it used to be, just for the reason that you said. Mm-hmm. People just don't walk into a lot blindly anymore to see what you have. They know what you have before they get there.
Right.
You know, most people have done their research. They've seen your inventory.
Yeah.
But that's good, you know, actually, because it's much easier when people show up and they know what they want to see.
Yeah.
Rather than just, you know, no idea.
Yeah.
So
well, it's just, you know, I have 3 cars, and they're all BMWs.
Oh, to have so much money.
Yeah, they have all built BMWs. One's a 2009, 2012, and 2013. So
you drive a different one every day.
You know, and my wife drives one, I drive the other, and then we have one that we drive only in the that, you know, how I had used to have a 1994 Saab convertible that I had for years, and I got rid of it because I needed to put about $3,500 into it, and just in painting. And they said, and then I needed another $1,000 on a new roof.
Yep.
And so it was like, do I put, when everything's said and done, I think it was close to $6,000 into this car. And the guy at the paint shop said, he was honest with me. He said, Chris, you know, I can do it, I can't guarantee, and I won't guarantee how long it will last.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, forget it. You know, if I can go out and find a car that's similar, and I was able to find one, it was about $2,500 higher than what I was going to have to put into it, but it was a 2013, and it was it was a BMW, it's a convertible, but it was just it's not a fun thing, and I don't do a lot of fun things. I don't have boats and I don't have other things, but this was like
Just
the one.
being with me every other week is probably the most fun thing you have going now.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is that it is online now. Everything is like I can start there, and ended up it was interesting when I found this car that I was looking for, the last one. I was online. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was on Car Guru just by chance, and Stratum had a car, and I text. They had gotten it in that Friday. It was Friday night. By me emailing them, I should say, I was first in the line. There was 12 people behind me. Yeah. So I told my wife, I'm not leaving it.
Yeah, they priced it right, and that's why dealerships.
And Car Guru will tell you if they're pricing it too high.
Oh yeah. In most dealerships now, they'll look and see. They'll take, say, your BMW. They'll type that model in, and they'll look at every one of those models through New England and see what they're selling for. Right. So everybody knows what the other guy is selling things for.
Right.
So
if I pay this, what can I get out back from it? And
Yeah, and sometimes dealers will have to charge a little bit more because it might have come in such good condition they had to pay more to get it. But Car Gurus is good. They do a good job on that, and they keep you on your toes.
I usually try to get anywhere between 30 and 50,000 miles on it. Yeah. And then it's new to me.
And then the other thought is, and what I do is I lease new. So yes, you always have a payment, but it's always lower and you're always under warranty, so you never have repairs.
And then in a few years, you can make a choice to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, if you lease, you can either buy it out at the end of the lease if you really love the car that much, or lease another one. I always wind up leasing another one because you get a brand new car, payment stays the same, and you're always under warranty. You never have to put repairs.
And you have a certain amount of miles, right?
Yeah, you can set your miles for any lease.
And mine, the oldest car I have just got inspected this week. And it's got 107,000 miles on it because I go from my house to the old courthouse. Unless I'm going to Concord, unless I'm going up to Maplewood or the Department of Corrections, I'm not putting miles on. So I know we regress, but it was I know that you would be able to see the market in a different way than other people. So
yeah, it's like anything. It's more and more and more online. But still, the bottom line is you still have to go to a dealership that you trust and talk to somebody.
What's the place that they deliver the car right to you? What's the one? It's a commercial on it. Cars in a tower, car in a bond. I don't know what it is.
I think I'd shy away from that.
Carvana or something like that.
Because then you get home and all of a sudden something is not right, and it's like,
too late.
Who do you call?
Right.
It's like insurance companies. Get a lot of these 1-800 insurance companies. Oh, we'll sell you insurance cheaper than anybody else.
Yeah, Frankie's Insurance.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you need a claim, and who do you call? 1-800 hold, please.
Yeah. 1-800 we're not here anymore.
Yep, we're not here, and you're not covered
because our PO box just moved. Yeah.
And that's what happens, too. They'll say, well, what happened? I said, well, I have flooding insurance and I flooded. Yeah, that's the wrong type of flooding insurance. Yeah. Who do you buy that from anyhow? I got it online. Oh, we're sorry.
And just a reminder, if anybody gets phone calls from people saying that, your electricity is going to be shut off, or, that you need to send some money because you have somebody that's ill or something like that, or anything. Don't. It's all fake. It's all, just contact your police if you think there's something questionable going on, and let them look into the matter. I see these things all the time. I get things all the time. I get phone calls all the time.
I get it. I think I told you I got a call a couple months ago. It was somebody claiming to be the IRS and get out your debit card now, or else we're going to send somebody down to you. And basically, I forwarded it to my son, who works up in Concord for the Secretary of State's office and does some work for the Attorney General's office. I said, hey, you want to give these guys a call?
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't called me back.
Yeah.
But he was saying that they're virtually impossible to trace.
No. Yeah, they're bouncing.
You can't.
They're
find
bouncing.
Them. Yeah.
All over the place, and that's fine. But
don't send any money.
Don't. No one can force you to send them money. No one can turn off your electricity like that. It's against the law. No one can, the IRS would set up an appointment with you.
The IRS sends letters.
They send letters, but they also would set up an appointment with you to discuss it if you wanted to. And I mean, don't ever, if you get those situations, think twice about it. That's all I say.
Oh yeah, well you saw a couple locally that happened.
Yeah.
One of the scams out there is where these scam companies will get a college kid's name and find out who their grandparents are.
Yeah.
They call the grandparent and they'll pretend they're the kid and say, don't tell my parents, but I need $5,000 to get out of jail.
Yeah.
And these well-meaning elderly people send $5,000.
Right.
So you're right. Do not send money.
Or if that is a situation, send it to the Keene police.
Yeah. Or just send it here. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. So all right, what else you got?
So that was my first line. We started off with, the weather is warm outside.
But there's no climate change.
I know.
Because isn't it ironic that the senator from Minnesota declares in a snowstorm and we don't? I mean, it's. I sometimes think, Mr. President, what do you say? I mean, he's actually today criticizing the congresswoman who made the anti-Semitic comments. I'm thinking to myself, really? Yeah. With all you've said? But okay.
He plays to his base. His base is his base, and
they're not changing.
It's not going to change, and no matter, like you said, I could shoot somebody, and my supporters would still support me, and he's right.
Yeah, and I see that, and I mean, I'm just not one of those people that get so clouded by. I just don't get clouded by one candidate or another. I've fallen in love with candidates, but it doesn't mean that I don't disagree with them at times.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I even disagree with myself every now and then. You do a vote, and a couple days later you think, huh.
Well, we started that conversation this past week. Can a individual, a political hack or a politician, and I include myself in can they change who they are over the years? Can some of their opinions evolve over time? Can they, and how far back should you be able to hold something against someone? And I started this conversation this weekend on the radio, and it was interesting because I did get one caller that said that he appreciated the conversation because it's like, if somebody, it's not that I agree or disagree. Anytime I ask these questions, you can get pegged as, oh, you're supporting this or that. It's not. I actually ask it more for the conversation aspect of it, and that is, with the blackface that's gone on. Now, if somebody makes a sexual allegation when you were in high school, when you were in college, when you were young, or in the past few years, or yesterday, that's a whole different thought to me. But if somebody made poor judgment, but that at the time it was something that was seen as it wasn't an issue to some. It was to some others, but it wasn't like as ever present as it is today. And if over the years an individual evolves, is that all right? Is that it was an interesting conversation with the group I had in there too, because there was a little dancing around it, because I think people are afraid that they're going to be seen one way or the other, and it's just. I want to continue the conversation because those are the type of conversations we need to have. Yeah. As a community, as a society.
Everybody does change. I mean, you think about, going back decades. In my generation, the old Bill Clinton. But I didn't inhale, and so.
And now they say, oh yeah, inhaled.
Oh yeah. I mean, so would you rule somebody out, because they smoked pot back then? Which is kind of funny when you think about it, because it's almost gone full circle, where it used to be kind of okay. Then it wasn't okay, and now they're trying to legalize it in most areas. So,
you elected a president who had a DWI.
Yeah.
George W. Bush. He had a DWI, but he worked his way through that moment of crisis that he had, and he was able to turn his life in a different direction. And he talks openly about that. Yeah. And should that have been held against them? In this day and age, I don't know if it would be more so than it was when he ran, because I remember it was like a few days before the election that came out. He had gotten arrested for DWI in Kennebunkport, if I remember exactly. And but it was like, I think people just thought, he's a changed person. Well, can it happen in other areas?
And I think with
and I don't have
like
the
that,
answer.
I think things like that, I think a lot of people out there have thought they might have left a bar or a party, and when they thought about it, they look back, they think, he might have had one too many that night, and just by the grace of luck, it wasn't them. They made it home. The next morning, they go, "Ooh, I probably shouldn't have done that." So I think things like that people can relate to, that they're more apt to forgive. One of the problems you see now is a lot of allegations. Well, you see them going back to the 80s. Maybe they're saying it was a sexual assault, and man, those are tough because as soon as somebody makes that charge, that individual.
To me, that I see that as different.
That's tough, man.
I see that as different. I see that as a more
and
so.
Where do you
more
go?
so,
And where do you go with something like that if somebody makes that type of allegation?
Well, the caller was saying, he started off, he was agreeing, and he's like, and he's talking about the individual down in Virginia, the lieutenant governor,
right?
And he's like, well, now that you and the Democrats are bringing this up, where were you when Kavanaugh was going through? And I said, whoa, wait, and he also brought up the whole blackface and all that, and I'm like, stop. I'm the same way I was before. If it's a criminal act of some sort where somebody, violated another person one way or the other, then my problem was on both sides. One took it to a higher level, and the other one didn't allow process. And I'm a process person. Let's put the facts on the table, and let's take our time about the facts. And let's have, if there's more than one, let's have those people, and then you can make a decision. Yeah. And it felt like it was rushed, and it felt like it became, because it was rushed, a battle cry, and we lost perspective on what's the best process to do in this to get all the facts out and not and I can't believe to this day I'll never understand how, Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh now, the way he spoke that day. If I was a senator, I would have lit into him saying, just saying, I understand what the pressure, but I don't agree that he handled it well whatsoever.
No.
So,
I think,
I know we're getting way off the topic today, but
yes, to go back on it, yes, I think people, obviously can change. Mm-hmm. I think the person has a core. You are who you are, but your ideas on politics can change.
But I also know that I'm white privileged. For me, the world is a little bit easier than others, and I understand that. So me talking about these things, I still don't have a full perspective of how others may see this. But what I guess I'm talking about is, if we go back many years, does that come into play too? So at some point, I'm going to have a broader discussion with people that feel this pain every day.
And it's also income level. People at a higher income see things totally different than those that have struggled.
Right.
They don't get it. Yeah. And they don't think they're privileged. They just think this is the way it's always been. Yeah. You have the money to do whatever you want at any time. It's like budgeting.
Do you remember those days? Do you remember buying diapers? And then we had dogs, so you had to buy dog food and wipes and baby food and all these other things, and then that's all you had. So you had to do the Roman noodles or hot dogs or boiled ham, whatever it was.
Macaroni and cheese and fish sticks.
Yeah,
certainly.
I do remember that.
And there's some people out there that have never experienced that, and they have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's like this to this day. I don't know if other people do this, but growing up, growing up, my mom, after my dad passed, when I was 10, we drank the dry milk, which if you put Hershey's syrup in it, you could drink it, and if you made it really, really cold, but to this day, I have to put water in the orange juice, or it doesn't taste right to me, because we used to have the condensed,
cut it down,
the condensed thing you'd put in and then it would melt and then you'd fill up the water, and then if it got down to a certain point, you'd fill it up a little bit so that it just lasts longer.
Yeah.
So you were, by the time you were finishing, it was like drinking Tang.
Yeah. No, been there, done that.
Yeah.
We grew up in the same kind of generation. You know, it was like that. That's what you did.
Yeah.
And but as far as politics goes, I mean, that's easy. Having a political change on things. I remember when I first got on the council years ago, I wasn't all that hyped up on the airport. And I think the reason that I wasn't educated on it that much.
Right.
And a lot of people, if they haven't used the airport and they haven't been involved in politics, you just see it as, so many people used to call it a white elephant. And then, so I probably made some comments early on, and then my view on that changed pretty rapidly after you get on the council and you find out just how important the airport is to the economy of Keene. So, I think there are things, and I think anybody elected to office needs to adapt.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you come to any level of politics and you think but it's just based on what you've read, what you heard, what you might think. And as you know, because you've covered many bases in politics, you get there and you go, whoops.
Yeah.
That's a little different than I thought it was.
I mean, anybody seeking elected office, when they get in there, should know that if you really want to do the job the right way, it's going to take you at least 6 months, maybe a year, to really understand the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you're there for a little while, you get a history, because one thing I've learned on council, everything repeats itself. It comes full circle. Like, can you say tree cutting at the airport? Started off in Swansea and worked in Keene.
Yeah.
Same thing. It works its way back around again. So most things do. History does have a tendency to repeat itself. So that's why it's good sometimes to have people hang around for a while. You can have a combination of old and new in politics. You need new people. You always need new blood, and you always need experience. So, in my case, experience.
And we've been in my work as the county administrator for Cheshire County. We've been doing the county budget, and it's a process that starts in August. And department heads start getting the paperwork to start developing the budgets for the bottom lines, and then they come in and we take a look at them and we say, wow, and then we start working through it and pushing it down and bring it to the commissioners, and the commissioners then work extremely hard over probably a month and a half of really going through line by line, meeting with department heads, and making a recommendation. And at the end of the day, they came in at 1.34% increase, and then they pass that on to the delegation, and the delegation assigns it to the executive committee, and the delegation is made up of state reps, and we have 23 state reps in Cheshire County, and they then have an executive committee made up of about 11 of those reps that then sit down over about a month, but a little over a month, and really go through the same process and add in some things that we don't have some control over during that time that we don't know the number. So it was at one point up to 1.67, but they met this week and they are pushing pushing a budget forward to the full delegation. That will be in March 18th. It will be heard. They have 0.73 increase, so it's under 1%.
Wow.
So they did a
cuts
really.
Came from somewhere.
There's always a little bit of pain here and there, but it was just a good job of really taking a look at what the needs were and how we were going to deal with them, and so I applaud the work that they all do. The commissioners, get a certain stipend from being a commissioner, and and we all know that the state reps get $100 a year plus travel.
Right.
So but they are dedicated individuals who have a level of service that they want to give back to their communities.
You don't get rich in politics in New Hampshire.
Not at all.
That's the wrong state to be in if you're looking to make money in politics, which is good.
To me, I think it's our biggest mistake, because I think what it does is we shouldn't have as
Well,
many. Well, I think we take pride
the state rep that in my opinion that needs to change. 400 something reps.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
should be downsized to 100 and something.
Oh, way downsized.
And then pay them a salary that's compensated.
Or a reasonable part-time.
Yeah, a
salary.
stipend, something
Right.
of some sort. That's but we take great pride in being, I think, the third largest a governmental body in the world.
I think it's 75% too large.
Yeah.
I agree. Cut it down to about 100 people.
Yeah. So but that's not going to happen because like I said, that reason, and also they, then it's like 1 to 3,000, and that's it's great that you have one person that is representing 3,000, but what happens is it's either I mean, the average age I think is in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it does that. I mean, it's not to say that the people that are that age aren't doing a good job, but is there a spectrum?
In New Hampshire, there's a lot of retired farmers.
Yeah. So just something to think about.
Yep. Well, segueing into other political things, I get a little note here. Our friends over the Portsmouth City Council, I just see that on a couple of Facebook sites in Keene here. The Portsmouth City Council has said that you cannot have a political sign in your yard bigger than 16 square feet, which would be basically a 4x4. Most political signs are 2x3, 6 square feet. So if you're gonna have one of those larger signs, you've got to go to the.
Now, wait a second.
You got to get a permit.
Say that again. You said 6 square
16.
feet.
16 square feet or bigger.
No.
You have to have a permit. The average sign is about 6 square feet.
No, it's not.
2x3,
Not
right?
feet.
Huh?
Not feet. 6. I mean.
I'm 16 square feet. You have to have a permit or larger.
Okay, 16 because
Which would be a 4x4.
because 8 by 8 an 8 by 8 post foot.
8 by 8 is 64 square feet.
Oh, total.
Yes.
All right. Never mind. All right, I'm back now.
Math.
Yeah.
Math.
I didn't hear that. Yeah. I
So
just heard-
basically, and of course, people automatically started up. I wonder if Keene's going to go next on that, and I don't think it's necessary. I mean, political signs.
Is it that much of a problem in Portsmouth that
Well,
you can't?
apparently it must have irked somebody. I don't know why. We see them around Keene. There's the same 4 or 5 places every year that have the bigger signs, and then political season's over, down they come. There's no restriction on the small signs. I find if there was ever going to be an ordinance, which there won't be, but if there was, it's the ones that'll put like 50 of their candidate right in a row. It's like, that it does become messy looking. I don't see a need for an ordinance on it. I think every couple of years we just have to deal with it and realize it's ugly. But so that's going on over in Portsmouth. So it's kind of fun to read the Facebook comments over there of people trashing their city council. It's like, hey, somebody else is taking some heat,
Yeah.
And they are. Oh, they're getting torn up, anti-First Amendment, and we're going to move out of Portsmouth. We hate living here. The city council, what a bunch of jerks. And I'm like,
Really?
welcome to the club.
Portsmouth's a beautiful city.
Yeah, it is. It is. But apparently they don't like big political signs over there. So they passed they passed 7-1 over there. They have a smaller city council than we do. I think they have 9 persons. I think 1 person was
And it's a
missing.
bigger city, isn't it?
Population-wise, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit because
They sagged down when the Air Force left. They went below us,
Yeah.
if I remember. And then over time, growth and they've come back on some levels.
much more expensive city to live in.
Yeah.
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 Buy a house over there. You get the
Portsmouth,
$200,000
right, and
house here.
you have to find a shanty that you are going to build back up, and it's still going to cost you some change.
Yeah. One of those in the back neighborhoods that used to be a garage.
Yeah.
And then you can get it for $200,000.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on over in Portsmouth. So I can cross that out, and mark my words, if somebody doesn't come up with that locally, though, it usually does. When you see things catch national press, it's like, should we try that one? No.
I see that the sign's up. I'm not going to say what sign, but I see the sign's
Well, you see
up.
it because you can't pronounce it on the air.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the Vietnamese restaurant sign? Yeah. I walked by there today, and once again, I hope they do well when they open. I'm just wondering when the heck they're going to open. I know they had said March, or they said February, they said January. I don't know what's taking them so long to open, but
It must be nice.
I
It
walked
must
by
be the
today.
city doesn't really charge that much of rent.
they don't.
Do you guys
don't.
actually review that at all ever?
Yeah, basically, yeah, we do. It's just like the airport, when we rent out the
The airport, no one was going, and you wanted to get somebody in
Yeah,
there, so
yeah.
you did the rent to get somebody
Yeah,
there.
and Luca runs from the city also.
Right.
Lucas is what you really want, you at least want to break a little bit better than even, but you want that space taken up. I mean, there's some comment, and some councilors who don't think we should be leasing anything, that we should just sell it, but you can't sell the airport terminal, you can't sell that part of City Hall. So you lease it and you fill it.
Could you sell that portion of the building and not the land it sits on? Like Second Chance, which is the building up by the
the jail.
Department of Corrections. The building Southwest Community Services owns, they run the program, or somebody now, they've subleased it to another individual. But we own the land. So why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't you condo it?
I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I think it's overcomplicating things.
Yeah.
If the city can just totally divest itself of it, that's the best way to go. But there's a couple of buildings we can't. But back in the days when you were on the council with me, we owned a lot more land back then. We've really been trying to get rid of it because we don't want to be landlords.
No.
And look what happens. You're a landlord and you get into a sign argument.
Right.
Things pop up you don't think. But I hope they open pretty quick. I hope they're successful. I hope every empty space downtown fills up and becomes successful. You and I talked about before the restaurant of the TD Bank or the brew pub at the TD Bank is coming along pretty good.
Yeah.
There's major renovation, so I hope everybody does well. But it's too bad you can't even pronounce the name of the restaurant's name on the air. I guess KBK said they can't advertise with them because they can't pronounce the name, so whatever.
Yeah.
That was yesterday's argument. We'll find something new for tomorrow, like maybe political science. Hey, reading in the paper the last couple of weeks here, an ongoing issue with our friends over in Richmond, New Hampshire, where they want possibly to do away with their police department and have the county, the sheriff's department. Are you seeing that with more towns than just Richmond? Are there other towns in the area thinking about that, asking about what it would cost to have coverage from the sheriff's department? Or is Richmond kind of sitting there by themselves?
No, because
right now?
currently we have Gilsum and Sullivan that we've been doing for some time now. But it is the trend is that the smaller towns are struggling to maintain the budgets that they have. But more importantly, my understanding of Sullivan, though reading with interest with the paper last night or the night before about this whole issue with it, is that, and I hear this from many, that they'll bring somebody in with another town, usually the city of Keene, to be honest with you, because they can pay more, and because you're 7 people down right now. They get taken away. So they set somebody up, they get somebody in there, they get them through the academy and all that, and a half a year in or a year in, and they leave. And so they're starting all over. And so the coverage is always scattered and it's not consistent. So these towns are struggling with not just a financial, but the reality of that there's not enough enough bodies out there to fill the positions that are out there.
Right.
So they're looking for alternatives, and the sheriff's department, can be an alternative. Now, from the county's perspective, we need to be able to make sure that 2 things occur. One is that it's at least a break even for us.
Right.
Because now we're stepping into a town situation, and the rest of the towns and city shouldn't have to pick up that burden.
Right.
So it has to at least break even, but it shouldn't even just break even. It should be a little bit more, because there are other costs that you can't foresee, I guess, within that sometimes. But they're giving us, if the warrant article passes, and it has to pass first, it would be that then we would go in, but they have a vehicle. It's 1 year old, and so it would have to, for a period of time, we would charge a certain rate because of, but when it gets to a certain point, it should be Richmond's responsibility, I would think, but those are discussions within the contract itself that need to be ironed out, but I foresee that there are certain things that are occurring that we may be taking on some more level of expectation, and it's just the realities that we're facing. But there are other towns that I think the law says is it 3,000? Under 3,000, the state troopers, cover. But the problem with that is their availability and their numbers in this region. So it could be a period of time before somebody's there.
Response time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Richmond issue, it's funny because I'm friends with Bill Daniels. We're about the same age and a little bit different political perspectives on things, but he's always given me a hard time about city council votes. He'll go to Facebook and tweak me a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I've read them.
But now he's taking a little bit of heat in his own town, so I'm going to be texting him back. Because, so Bill, you're anti-police? As you said, if you try to make a vote somewhere, people will perceive it as something else. and he's not. They're just trying to look for the best bang for their buck.
Well, I think
But that's the heat he's taking.
I think that's the selectmen are always when they have to make these hard decisions, or when like on the school board, we had to close a school when I was chair of the school board, and
You're anti-kid, right? You're anti-education.
Jonathan Daniels was that, and in exactly what we thought would happen is that there were some people out there that they don't know you, but that's the way they can throw their anger, and that's what they do, and. But it's you do sometimes have to take a look at the realities you're facing and make a decision based on what's in the best interest of everyone that's involved, not just a few.
Yeah, I run into that.
So it's a hard situation. That's a no-win situation.
I run into that every year when I mention the homeless shelters in Keene and all the beds. And I've always been under the opinion that it should be under one administrative body. In other words, one administrative body looks at all the beds in Keene and coordinates together rather than having separate entities kind of look over their own piece of the pie. I just think it makes more sense. But every time I try to bring it up, same thing, you're the anti-homeless, you don't care, you want people to freeze to death, they're going to die. It's like, you can't even bring the conversation up.
Right.
As soon as you say it, that's what it comes back at. So I remember that when you were closing down Jonathan Daniels, I remember seeing some of the comments.
Yeah.
They don't make sense, they're not right, but especially in today's day and age.
And look at it. Look at it today.
Yeah.
It's it wasn't a closing. It was a closing down of a school, but it was repurposing that school. And bringing the primary, the preschool out there, and some other and community ed's main offices were out there, and that was a good thing because we were renting one and we've seen great growth at Wheelock School with the number of students. So.
Yep. Wheelock's a great school too. Speaking of Wheelock, I get to segue right in here. Wait a second, she doesn't go to Wheelock anymore. Never mind. My niece Anna, 10 years old, and one of the top skiers in the state.
Oh, really?
Yep. I was going to kind of say that.
Who does
she learned. She learned everything. She's up at. She's been skiing up at Crotchet Mountain, and I have to give her a little kudos. Hi, Anna. I went up to watch her ski the other day. I'm like, oh my God. I mean,
when people are really good.
Oh,
I'm a refrigerator on the skis. I go straight down the hill.
Gravity, man.
Right. I mean, I think it's the best thing you can do. You ride a chair up a mountain, not walk it, and then your weight carries you down the hill.
Yep. And in our case, that's pretty fast.
And there's a place where you can get food and a beer at the bottom.
Yeah, and then sit down and ride back up again.
So I think it's great, but when somebody can really put those boards on, and just there's a rhythm to them, and it's my uncle was a national ski patroller, and he used to sing down, and he just had a rhythm to him that just boom, ba boom. It's an amazing thing to watch.
Yep, it is. She was amazing to watch. She's only 10 years old, and she came in second in a state race. I mean, we're talking U.S. ski team type skiing, not just. Yeah. And she's only in 6th grade right now.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet if she actually skied for Keene High, she'd probably be the best skier as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
She's that good. But my brother-in-law was an expert. He's an expert skier too. Always was.
Yeah.
But just have to give kudos to her because my skiing ability. She does the giant slalom around the gates.
Yeah.
For me, that would just be boom, 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 boom.
I did that one time. They used to have at Pat's Peak. They had this Tuesday nights where you could go up and you could do the course.
Nighttime skiing.
And they had you could actually win some money if you. And I remember I was one of the last people to go, and I had the worst time, the worst timing, but I had fun. So but I just took my time down. I wasn't. No.
I haven't skied in years. I got to the point where I could make it to the bottom without getting killed.
Yeah, but, I want to get back. I ruptured my Achilles. I had some neck surgery, so I haven't skied in some time now. But I want to get back up before the end of the year, before the snow goes away.
Do you ice skate at all?
No, I've told you the story. I'm the best goalie.
Oh yeah.
Probably, at least in this region, I'm probably the best goalie. But
with a ton of equipment, just stand there like that.
In boots.
Yeah, just don't move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be me. A target.
Robin Hood Park, man. That's where I grew up. The skating.
Yeah, I was up at visiting my son Sean up in Concord last week, and they have a park. It's called White Park. They have a pond similar to Robin Hood, and They even flood it out even a little bit more, and they break it up into like 8 or 10 little mini hockey rinks and have a huge tournament up there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that would be great for Robin, and I was thinking about bringing it up to the Parks and Rec director, but I thought there's no parking. That's the killer. In the White Park over in Concord, it's kind of like Wheelock Park. It has all the parking.
So why couldn't you flood? Why couldn't you flood Wheelock Park?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So.
But it draws all kinds of teams.
You know,
it was fun.
just real quick, do you guys get any information on what's happening at the on the apartments that are being built behind the middle school, old middle school? Is it close to opening? I mean, there's a lot. I see people there every day working.
They're working every day. I was asking that a couple of weeks ago too. It's like, man, it seems like it's taking forever. It's still coming along. The inside of the middle school itself, you know, the cafeteria and all of that, the project, that's going to be the place. Maybe that happens. I'm not holding my breath on that part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point it will. Yeah, I mean, the apartments are supposed to be ready later this year, but, you know, I don't have a formal date on that. But like everybody else in Keene, even just as a lay person in Keene, you kind of look at it and it's like, where are you going to get all these people from? You know, I mean, they do market studies. You know, just
these guys do. They do this business.
They do the business. They do the market studies. We've got, you know, the old Colony Mill.
Brady Sullivan. I don't know what they're doing. It's taken forever too, but they must have so much inventory that they can do a project like this and take their time.
I guess they ran into some problems when they went into the sub-basement, because remember, all water flows underneath there.
Yeah.
And I guess when they get down there, they actually basically found archways where the water was meant to flow through.
Yeah.
Because it was built that way. And you're talking housing now. It's a different standard.
Yeah.
So, especially from back in the 1800s when that was built. So I think Brady Sullivan found themselves in a little bit more an expensive endeavor than they thought they were getting into.
So they have to then go and redesign and do whatever they have to do.
But like I mentioned, I was over in Concord the other day, and I cut down through Manchester to go watch a Keene High hockey game. And
did they win Goffstown?
No, they lost 4-3.
So is that the second time they played Goffstown?
Yeah, they lost them the first time too at Keene.
Okay.
It was, but anyhow, I'll get back to that. But you drive down through Manchester, down along the river, and all those mills were owned and built by Brady Sullivan.
Yeah.
So this one in Keene, that's for them. That's just a little blip. You know, they're spending a little more money than they wanted to, but they're coming along rapidly. I drove by the other day, and now you're seeing the framing really coming up. But getting back to apartments, I'm like, I don't know. They've done their studies. They think they can fill all of these.
Yeah.
And maybe they can, because, you know, there's a lot of people living in apartments in Keene. Some houses that, you know, are probably a little less than desirable. And maybe people move in there to move up a little bit. But I don't think the rents are going to be cheap. Of course, rents in Keene aren't cheap. But
They've gone down, though.
Well, there's going to be too many. There's just going to be an absolute
but they've gone down on some levels over the last few years because of Arcadia and the other places. The college students, you know.
In the Keene State's built more built more on-campus housing. So.
Right.
But yes, I went over to St. Ambrose College to watch Keene High play Goffstown.
Is that where they skate out?
Yeah, the mayor was there. You
Was
know, I looked over and there was Kendall, you know, yelling at the refs just like I was.
Oh, really?
I think I was on Facebook. I mean, in high school hockey, if it's they can call it a major penalty if you hit a guy too hard. The problem with that is you get 5 minutes and you're out, and if they score, you don't come back. You stay out.
Right.
And it happened to one of the Keene players, and it was just a marginal call, and they gave him 5. And the kid on the other team played it up. He lied on the ice for a while, like he was never going to be able to walk again. Then they called 5 minutes, and he popped right up and skated back to the bench, you know. And the other team scored 2 goals during that 5 minutes, and that was the game.
Wow.
That was
so
the
were they
decision.
winning at that point, 3-1?
Keene,
no, 3-2.
I think Keene was up 2-1, and then when they came out of it, then they were immediately down
4-2.
3-2. Then they went down 4-2.
Okay, yeah.
They got a late goal. Goffstown's a good team, but it's one of those you can't get a bad penalty because the teams are too evenly matched.
What's the records? What's Keene's?
Keene's in 4th place right now. They're right up there.
Yeah.
They're still battling. I think they've lost maybe 5 games,
5?
like 11-5 or 9-5 or 9-4. I don't know. They were supposed to play tonight over in Manchester, but it got iced out.
No school, right?
No school, so they can't play. But they have a makeup game as we're taping this in Keene tomorrow night that I'll be going to. Okay. They're a fun hockey team. They are young.
Yeah.
They're young. You know, that's one of the issues that they have this year. Is last year, their defense was all upperclassmen. You
Yeah.
know? And this year, they're all like freshmen, sophomore, defensemen. And you can see when they get backed in, they struggle a little bit getting out of their zone.
Yeah.
When they do, they're good, but
Yeah.
they get pinned back quite a bit. But if you like high school hockey, man, go to Keene Ice and catch the Keene High hockey team. They're
Yeah.
a good team.
And the Lions Club show is this weekend.
That is coming up.
And so if you're looking for something to do,
Did you do anything with it this year at all?
I don't. Not this year, no.
Yeah.
And but it's
living,
Tarzan.
that working for a living stuff's getting
I
in
know.
the way, huh?
I know. It's Tarzan.
Oh, I thought you'd be the lead character.
Yeah, walking around and
That muscular
and
build,
walking. No,
you know.
oh no, no.
Little
I'd probably be.
lion claw
I think
twist.
I could probably pull off a gorilla, you know.
Okay.
But you know,
works.
Tarzan, and the music's all written by Phil Collins. So it should be a great show. And from what I heard, they've had some great rehearsals. They loaded in this week. They've been at the Colonial, and so
Yahoo!
apologize.
Yeah, in the Lions Club, they're always good shows.
And all the money after expenses, all the money goes back to the community. I mean, how do you go wrong going and doing that? You know, to work out that tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so go and you know, do your heart-shaped pizza at Athens,
There you go.
and then after that you go
Then
to
eat the whole thing yourself, but tell your girlfriend or wife you were thinking of
Yeah,
her while you were
yeah.
eating it.
and then this weekend take her to Tarzan. It's all a good cause.
Unless, of course, they're watching our show a week from as we're doing this, then never mind.
Then never mind, right? It's
Yeah.
too late by then.
But the Keene High will still be playing hockey, so go catch that game.
yeah, or show up at the Colonial and see what's playing.
Yeah. You know, it's funny with the Colonial. I'm reading over in, I think it's Claremont. God, I think it's Claremont. That they have a Colonial theater that they're renovating. And the same, remember when Keene renovated the Colonial Theater? It's kind of a joint venture between public-private. They're doing one over there too. So it's interesting reading the article on it that they're struggling a little bit. You know, they're arguing with each other a little bit. But you know, good for them. I see coming up, and for local stuff, the next 3 minutes here, Swansea is going to be voting on Keno at a public hearing in about a month, if they want to bring Keno into Swansea. Remember how Keene, actually, the city council stepped back and we let the community vote on that one.
Yeah.
And for me on that one, it was like, either way is fine with me, because it's up to the bar owners if they want to do it or
Here's
not.
my
So-
thing with is it's all for the wrong reason. It's so you can pay for all day kindergarten, right?
Right.
We should be paying for all day kindergarten. Start there first. If you go to West Virginia, you'll see what Keno does, and it's everywhere. Every time you turn around, there's Keno, and people. My daughter was at a soccer tournament, and we were there, and I watched people, and I talked to people. I like talking to
like to talk. Jeez, I
and
didn't know that.
and so we he said, yeah, one of the owners of the bar that it was in said that we get people, and there's just Keno places. There's some places that have Keno in the bar, but there's some places that just have Keno. And he said, yeah, we cashed multiple people's checks.
Yeah.
And they play it with the hopes of getting some monies more than what they are earning, and I get all that, but it's like wow.
Scratch tickets in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
You know, how many times do you wait for get a gallon of milk?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Well,
Scratch away.
I get a lot of scratch tickets at Christmas. I just had to cash them all in this week, and I ended up getting $57 worth of winnings.
Retirement time, baby.
Yeah. But
So Swansea's going to do that. And I see on Winchester's ballot, they're going to decide about vaping.
yeah.
So they're putting that out there. And it's funny because I read an article yesterday that tobacco use among middle school students is skyrocketing. Remember the argument before was, well, vaping will prevent them from smoking. Nope. Vaping was a new habit for middle school students, and now they're going from vaping to tobacco.
You're right.
So there you go. For those that criticize the city, we were right on this one. And it's going to prove that. And unfortunately, the statistics that's going to prove that is going to be young people coming up through the ranks again now developing, diseases. So
Yeah.
so
I will always.
I stand.
I think you guys have the right to do what you did, and I think that you did it based on health reasons.
We
and
did it
that's
for the right reasons.
Right reasons. I just worry about that what's next and who says what. You know, it's sort of like with Trump wanting to do what he's. Well, we have to go, don't we?
Oh God, you're gonna end with you're gonna end comparing me to Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a gun.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, we'll start off in 2 weeks with Trump.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Take
Have a
care.
great week.